Welcome to the Church of Divine Prophecy. Good morning to everyone, and I'm so glad to see you all here today. In the beginning, we ask everyone to please silence their cell phones unless you are medical personnel or law enforcement. For those who may be here for the first time, the restrooms, which can become an important issue, are down the hall, a quick right and a quick left, and feel free at any point. It's a very relaxed type of service. To begin, I will ask Eddie Quick to light the 3 candles, symbolizing the unity of body, mind, and spirit. Thank you. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the first hymn. Dear Lord and Father, thank you for your promise that where 2 or 3 are gathered, you are there in the midst. Therefore, Lord, we welcome you among us today and celebrate the gift of life that you have lavished upon each of us. We ask that you would open our ears so that we may hear your voice. Open our mind so that we may receive your eternal wisdom. Open our spirit so that we may know your leading and guidance. And open our heart so that we may receive your love. We ask this in all sincerity. Amen. Amen. Sure, right when you are. Reverend Steve Adkins to come up and share with us the thought for today.
Mics are always a little bit of a challenge. I'd like to thank Reverend Kathy Quick for donating the guitar. Her husband went out and bought it and had her son string it and tune it so it came ready to play today. Also like to thank Matthew for stepping up and playing. We got somebody else in the wings back there, Mark, who's going to try to come up. He says he plays and sings, so we're going to have and this all is kind of interesting because Artie came and he called me the other day, the guy that played a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he had gotten a permanent job playing on Sundays. So he was apologizing, and I said, Artie, don't apologize for good fortune. We appreciate what you've done every time you've done it and the love you've given to us while you were here. Congratulations for getting the job. So now we've got 2 other people stepping up and going to fill the void. So it's always nice to see that. As a thought for today, I'll speak about perceptions a little bit. I'm going to continue that when my lecture comes up. I know you're probably tired of hearing about my dogs, but they're kind of life lesson givers to me along with my wife. But the other day, I've got a 6-year-old female dog, and she's had a litter of puppies, and we've had to keep one of them because of medical reasons. We couldn't sell him, and he's been a joy in our life. But I was watching her the other day, the mama dog, and she's out there running him into the ground, flipping him over, just really looking like she's tearing him up. And so I took her off to the side, and I sat down, and I looked her in the face, and I said, you got to be nicer to him. You can't be so mean to him. And whether it was her spirit that communicated to me, what was said was, it's not being mean, it's teaching him. So I started watching with that concept rather than the emotionalized concept of harming him. And what I saw was she would knock him down at a run until he stood up and faced her off. Instead of trying to outrun her, if he turned around and faced her face to face, she would knock him down every time he tried to run instead of turning and standing his ground. And so that was real interesting to me because she's 60 pounds, he's 20. She could still run over him when he stood his ground if she wanted to. But that's what she's doing, is she's teaching him how to survive in his world. And it was just a change in perception, seeing the same thing and a change in perception in what I was looking at. So it's always interesting to take a moment and tune in and ask what the truth is of what you're seeing, rather than this immediate emotionalized reaction to what's going on. Because, you know, in our lives, she's teaching her puppy to survive something that could be devastating to him later on in his life when she's not there. And so I thought about that, and sometimes that happens to us in our lives. We're faced with something very difficult, what we feel put upon about. And in retrospection, a couple of years later, it prevented us from having something more difficult, more catastrophic happen to us because of what we went through earlier and less severe. So God's hand is always in our lives at all times. And it was just an interesting revelation to me to see that through these mother and puppy dogs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our service is comprised of 3 parts: the healing portion, the inspirational lecture, and the demonstration of spiritual gifts. We will now begin the healing portion of the service. To begin the healing portion, will the assigned 2 healers take your place behind the chairs? And please recite with me the healing prayer located on the back of the yellow songbook. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body and to restore me to perfect health. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. All those interested in receiving hands-on healing, please take a chair in front of a healer. When you hear the chime, it means that a chair has become open for your use. The rest of us will participate in a healing meditation led by Ashkhen. Good morning. Good morning. Find a comfortable position to sit where there is no tension or any stress on your physical body. Close your eyes. Take in a deep breath. Inhale. And exhale.
Take in another deep breath. And with your exhale, let go. Let go of all the tension in your physical body. Let go of the thoughts that are occupying your mind. Any worries, any concerns that you may have. With your exhale, just release and let go. Bring your focus and your awareness to your breath. Engage in the mechanism of your breath. Feel your breath taking you deeper and deeper within. Find that peaceful presence that is within. Feels very quiet, calm, and soothing. While you breathe in and out, repeat to yourself quietly, I am at peace within and without. With your inhale, I am at peace within. With your exhale, I am at peace without. Engage in this rhythm of your breath. I now call for the divine healing energy to be here at this time and to provide each one of us with the healings that we need for our mind, body, and spirit. As we call upon the law of forgiveness, we forgive all those who have hurt us. We forgive those who have caused us pain and suffering. We forgive and we detach with love. We let go emotions of fear, anger, and resentment. We let go of whatever is holding us back from advancing spiritually. We let go of situations, circumstances, friendships, relationships that are holding us back from achieving our highest potentials. We let it go to the light of God that never fails. We ask God the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, to be in charge of our lives, our existence, our soul and spirit, while we are here in this physical plane on earth and beyond. In the name of universal Christ consciousness, we ask for protection. And we accept it as it's done. While you are breathing gently, shift your awareness slowly higher to your forehead. Become aware of your third eye in the center of your forehead. Envision brilliant golden light entering through your forehead in a form of golden energy. See this energy spreading in and around your head. Clearing and healing your crown chakra. Release all the thoughts that are limiting your highest potentials. Any thoughts that are stopping you from achieving your highest potentials. Release and let go. Feel this energy healing and balancing your mental body. Just follow the energy that is moving down to your throat. Clearing and healing your throat chakra. Enabling you to speak your divine truth. Feel the energy moving down to your shoulders. Beautiful golden healing energy. Extending to your arms, to your fingers, fingertips. Feel this golden energy filling your chest, your back, your lower back. If there's any areas of discomfort in your physical body, just throw this energy to that area. See that area being healed and balanced. Just follow this healing divine energy that is moving gently, clearing the blockages from your body. Physical, mental, and emotional. The energy moving down your lower body to your knees, down to your feet. Going out through the bottom of your feet and extending deep into the ground, anchoring you to the earth. Now bring your focus slowly to your heart chakra in the center of your chest. See your heart like a beautiful lotus, replicating with multiple petals, opening up. As you look deeper into your heart, you will see the core. That core is your essence. Love is your essence, and love is God. Focus on your heart and feel the presence of God within your heart. Feel the love of God that is flowing, flourishing your entire body, your mind, your spirit. Feel this love energy embracing you from within and without. Feel God's love comforting you, loving you, and healing you. Love is the ultimate power of the universe. Love is what holds us together in unity. Surrender to your sacred heart and know that all things are possible through God's love. Breathe in and breathe out and feel this love energy that is pouring out of your heart. Now think of those who are in need for love and healing. Anyone that you may be in conflict with, envision this person with your mind's eye. Send this love energy from your heart to that person.
Here, I'll show you.
And see the person receiving God's love and healing through your heart. And see the relationship healed. It is through love that we forgive, and through forgiveness that we heal. Surrender to God and allow God to be in charge of your life, your existence, your actions, interactions with others. Surrender to God. allow God to be. Start slowly coming back. Become aware of your physical senses. To the here and now. And be the love that you are. Come back slowly. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.
It is my privilege and pleasure this morning to introduce to you our speaker of today, which is our own Reverend Steve Adkins. For those of us who have been coming to church on a regular basis, he needs no introduction. But for those who are relatively new, and as a matter of course, we must introduce him properly. He is the pastor of the People's Church of Divine Prophecy. He is also the founder of the Church of Divine Prophecy. He is an ordained minister, a medium, a healer, a teacher, and a lecturer. And he has been performing professionally in all these capacities for more than 25 years, both in the United States and in the UK. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Steve Adkins.
And a good friend.
Thank you, Kathy. Even though I did start this church, it's been grown by everybody that comes, whether it's once, twice, or 100 times. The musicians, the healers, all of you that come to give your energy. All of it are different parts of the service. And I feel very grateful to have the people that come here and put their energy into it, the people that do the healings here, the people that come and speak here. It's all been a wonderful venture, and we're coming up on 3 years now in a couple of weeks, so it's really been a tribute to everybody that put their love and hope into it. So I thank everybody for that and giving me the opportunity to stand here today. I'd like to speak a little bit today, kind of like what I started with the thought for the day. It's the perceptions of things that we see and how we go about our daily lives. I know that my walk has been a very interesting one, to say the least. I know that there's a wealth of people out there from about 30 years ago that would have never believed I was standing up here talking like this, because they'd flee the other way. Even my own family would flee the other way from me at that time, except for my mom. Moms never give up on you, so. But it's been quite a journey, and it's been one of self-realization. It's been one that people have helped me with a little step at a time. No one person can be attributed, even myself, for standing where I'm at now. It's been just a walk of challenges, a walk of people taking the time to help me when they didn't have to, and it's been a time of me trying to change myself as that happened to me. Well, a lot of times, most of my changes have been done in the privacy of my own home and my own mind through a technique of meditation. There's a lot of different types of meditation out there. It's not just one type of meditation. Different times you meditate for peace in your life. Just give me the calm, let me be able to go through this, let me feel the joy of where I'm at type of thing. The others are questioning, why is this happening? Can you give me some guidance about what to do? Those are when you put a question out there with your meditation. And the other type is when you're trying to produce a stronger expression of your own spiritual gifts, where you go into a different mode of meditation. When we feel the presence and peace of spirit in meditation, a lot of time, most of the time, we just revel in it, feel it, and let it uplift us. The challenge comes in with the next step, where we have to go out and project that into the world around us. Because we come out of these meditative states, these classes, these courses of instruction, whether they're spiritual, religious, social, whatever it is, we find ourselves filled with peace and joy and hope when we go out there, and then we meet the world head on. What happens a lot of the time then? Well, the world hasn't changed any. The world is still like it was when we left it to go find this peace. And I'm reminded of this story of a young Buddhist monk who came out of his course of study, got given his first assignment, and he went to this village in the dead of the night. He traveled a long way and got to this village that he was supposed to be ministering to. And he goes up to the mountain where the monastery is that's separate from the village, and he stays in there for months, writing all these wonderful lessons that he's going to teach everybody, writes all of these different written procedures and things that he's going to hand out for people to read and instruct them by. And he comes down the mountainside carrying all these wonderful written things that he's gotten from all of his knowledge and training and study. And he finds out that the village is a village full of blind and deaf people. So the moral of that is to make sure what people need before you try to give them some help. And that's what happens to a lot of us when we get filled with the Spirit and want to go out and do good. We tend to approach people from doing good from our own perspective rather than feeling where they're at and what they need. We want to give them what we want to give them rather than what they need. And a lot of times that produces quite a bit of difficulty, or it produces little to no results at all. So there's a lot of things that come into play when we move out into the world to practice these wonderful spiritual truths that tend to stumble and trip us as much as anything else does. A lot of our own internal guidelines and prejudices come into play at that time. And what I mean by prejudice, it isn't exclusively being opposed to somebody because of their race, ethnicity, or social standing. It can be our concept of what God wants to do in our lives. Prejudices are things that we've set up, in some cases, to be positively guided by, that tend to get in our way. There's a book that was put out by a guy by the name of James Allen in 1902 called As a Man Thinketh. And it's a very interesting book, and if you get a chance, it's on video, it's on audio tape. So if you get a chance, you can get one and put it in your car and listen to it. But it was written, this guy was an editor of a huge publishing house with little to no spiritual training. And he was inspired by a biblical passage where he began to think about all of his life's experiences, and he wrote this book. And it talks about how people think, how thought works with your life, and it's just an absolutely wonderful thing. It's timeless. And in part of it, one of the things that struck me the most was he talks about your mind being like a garden. You can tend it, guide it, weed it, and keep it producing positive and good things that you want it to produce. Or if you don't tend it, it's still going to grow, regardless of whether you tend it or not, but it's going to grow full of weeds and disorganization and things that really don't help a whole lot in your life. you get a chance, find that book and read it, or get the audio tape of it and listen to it. I listen to it a lot. And it says different parts of it stick with me different times that I listen to it. When acting towards the outer world, we have different sayings that come to us. One of the oldest ones is the ends never justifies the means. And that's a very profound one that was said at one time. It wasn't said by a religious leader. It's not said by the Bible. It was said by somebody who made an utterance at one time, and it just stuck because it was truth. And what that says to me is that it's more how you do it than what the end result is. And that's very profound to me because, you know, again, like the Buddhist monk, he had this end game in mind, and he went through all these procedures to get there, and it was non-productive when he got there. Even though it was a good plan and a good result at the end, the way he got there didn't suit the situation. So it's not always a detrimental thing, it's just non-productive. My conscious goal for the past year, and I say conscious because we're always being moved behind the scenes by God's purpose for us, is to take, I've studied on several different continents, I've studied a lot of different religious systems, because my attitude when I was exposed to things over the years was to investigate thoroughly, not just be momentarily moved or put off by the initial statements that people made about it. When I saw a footnote in a book, I would find what the book referred to and read part of that it referred to, not just the footnote validating the reference. So I spent a lot of time going through a lot of written things to produce my state of mind and how I approach the world around me. The last year, again, I said I've consciously been trying to change this written spiritual knowledge into an outer expression to the world around me, taking it, practicing it, expressing it to the world around me. And again, there's a lot of challenges. You see a lot of things like the mama dog running over the baby dog on the initial surface that just shocks you until you look at it through a spiritual concept. You have to be careful getting involved in other people's issues until you know the whole thing. You hear one side of a story, you react to it, and you end up in trouble. And a lot of this comes in with children, your children, adult children, small children, it doesn't matter. You react in a fashion you think of a perception you're seeing without stepping back and realizing that God's acting in that person's life. They may be needing to go through this, just like the mama dog knocking down the baby dog until it stands its ground and chooses to face what's coming at it. A lot of times that's how God works in our lives. And we can't interfere with that process in other people's lives. Otherwise we take on part of that karma, part of that issue with them. There's a saying, greater he that conquers himself than conquers a city. Before you try to help somebody else, you have to have yourself on stable ground. You have to be working on yourself. You have to have a firm spiritual core of self-reference before you help people. Madame Blavatsky from the Theosophical Society called it pledge fever, people that begin to move down a spiritual path and suddenly everything they think, everything that comes to them, they think comes from spirit and is pure and correct. It's called pledge fever. She says it's great because people are enthused about learning more about their spirituality. But the downfall is there's no personal responsibility for what they receive. They don't process it and try to make it usable in a personal sense. You see this a lot in people that momentarily have that spiritual awakening, and I've worked with a number of organizations, both social and religious, where you have to kind of gently guide people. That's great that you're feeling good about your spirit, and that's really good that you're feeling that way, but you might want to kind of knock it back a couple notches and just kind of sit and idle for a few minutes and let it take, let it mature, let it percolate a little bit there before you jump out there and try to help others. One organization I was involved with said it's real easy to help other people and fix them without fixing yourself. You know, we can all see the problems in other people's lives, but when we look back at ourselves, it's not quite so easy to see that and cure that. I remember I was in a financial seminar where it's required by work. Every 4 years you have to go through this series of seminars. And this guy was telling us about financial accountability. He says, we're going to look at these people's issues, what their income is, and we're going to decide how they can cure their financial problems. They're paying out more than they're earning. So here's what they do. Here's what they earn. Figure out over here what they can stop doing to make their money work. Oh, that was real easy. He just went through and checked it. It took about 5 minutes for everybody in the room to figure out how to fix those people's lives. And then what he said was, now if that was you and your wife, how easy would that be? You know? So it's always interesting to see that perspective of how, you know, when you reach out to help somebody else, don't give away something that you don't really have to give away. Be diligent about what you do, how you help other people. And I've been asked a number of times with other organizations, oh, why don't you come here and help us? I said, let me explain it to you like this. I work 5 days a week at a day job from 4 a.m. to 5 p.m. By the time I get home, it's almost dark most of the time. I run a church on Sundays, and Saturdays I sit around and do absolutely nothing but play with my dogs and horses and take my wife to dinner. So you're asking me to give up part of my Saturday to come here and do this, and I just can't in all consciousness do that. So you have to be fair with your time. You have to choose where to put your efforts at. Don't get spread so thin that you're no good to anybody. And that's what somebody told me one time what my greatest challenge was. A psychologist, I was ordered to go see one at one time because I was a pretty angry person many years ago. And he told me, he said, you know what Steve's biggest problem is? I said, what's that? He said, number one, you have to have the last word. And number two, you think you have to do everything that's put before you. You can't say no to anything. And you need to start saying no. So I thought that was pretty interesting what he said to me. So I've had to use that quite a bit over the years of how not to always have the last word, how to listen to people rather than wait for my turn to have my say, which is quite a different thing. When you're speaking to people, you should sit there and honestly listen to them, not just hear the la 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 waiting for your turn to have your say. So it's, you know, listening is a big skill that you have to have. But in closing, I would like to share with you something about spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom to me has meant a freedom of choice about my life. I'm no longer driven by my emotions. Now, to say that my emotions don't affect me when things happen is untrue. But I'm not driven to action by them. I have that pause most of the time. I have that ability to stop and check myself. My faith and understanding of God through my understanding of my God through my chosen principles that I apply have allowed me to have a timeout when I need it, to step back when I don't understand things, to make a good decision or no decision when it's all appropriate. Something that we have to realize is mostly one about the realization of ourselves. I'd like to close with a little story of analogy. There was a baby eagle in a nest over a barnyard, and it fell out of its nest into the barnyard. And this mother hen took it on and was leading all of the little chicks around and the baby eagle around with them. And the baby eagle never knew anything else. It thought it was a chicken. So it was scratching and pecking the ground just like all the baby chicks. And one day these eagles flew overhead, and the baby eagle looked up and said, "My, wouldn't that be wonderful to soar free of the earth and be your own bird?" And the little baby chick said, "No, you're a chicken. You just have to keep scratching and pecking the ground." So the moral of the story is you can fly with the eagles or scratch with the chickens. It's your choice. I thank you all.